Hi, welcome to Smokin with Swami. I'm Swami Chaitanya.
And I'm Nikki Listretto with Tipu, the wonder dog who usually sleeps through most of the show. And welcome.
Well, listen, today we wanted to, in the beginning, kind of apologize for the quality of our sound, but we've actually been trying, I don't know, about 5 or 6 different microphone configurations and different positionings and so on. And actually, to say, we usually get good sound on our iMovie, but somehow it gets deteriorated when it gets out onto the YouTube. So,
but thanks for all the people that have been writing in and offering suggestions
so
of how to improve it. We are working on it. We're listening to you. And let us know if it sounds better.
Right, please. And also people have offered to help. We don't know quite how to, connect with that help. But anyway, we're trying. So today, in the real Smokin with Swami, here, have a hit.
Smokin with Swami.
We want to talk about how you can enter the Emerald Cup this year, which is going to be on the 10th and 11th of December. But entries can be submitted as of November 1st, which is what, Tuesday?
Yeah.
And the last entries will be the Saturday after Thanksgiving or November 26th. And the reason for that is we need to get them tested so we don't subject our lungs to pesticides or mold or whatever else might be.
But of course, you know not to enter anything
that
has anything.
So it's going to be organic, sun-grown cannabis is the whole point here. So anyway, so now you're going to enter your beautiful bud that you've been growing for the last 8 or 9 months, or maybe less with light depth. And what's the best way to enter? So what's the first thing they need to look for, Nikki, in their own cannabis, in their own buds?
What you like.
What you like.
Really, if you can help everybody by narrowing it down yourself to what really you think is the best one. It doesn't really help for people to turn in 4 or 5 of their own samples. You decide what's best, and we would like.
But the first thing you want to figure is the most important thing in just the immediate judging are the terpenes. And the more over the years we've learned about the terpenes, the more important they become in the overall quality of the cannabis itself.
Yes.
So pick your sample that has the best fragrance, the most outrageous terpenes, as we say, jar-jumping terpenes, right?
That's probably the most important thing at this point, other than, of course, the effect. And the look, though, you have to have a good look, because that's what we see first,
But once you pick you're on your fragrance, then you're going to trim it up.
Right.
And how do you're the trimmer thing. How do you want it trimmed?
Well, for the cup, we want to see buds really well trimmed. We want to be able to see the shape of the flower. We want it to have a figure. We want your bud to actually, not be machine cut. We want to be able to tell, because we can tell if it's hand trimmed or not. And
you want to see the shape of the bud, the
shape
real
of
natural
the bud.
shape of the bud.
Bring out the natural shape, right, and the natural colors.
But see, also in terms of entering, since we get a little film can, that's what they used to call it, with a number on the top, that's all we know. So we're going to get a gram to 1.5 grams. So what you want to do is prepare your ounces into the best gram-shaped small little buds that you can. But at the same time, you want to put into the jar a big, beautiful bud, maybe like that. And that's the one that would go in the display case, right?
Yeah, well, actually, it really helps us, because we go through all of these beautiful jars of buds, and the ones that look the best, the ones that smell the best are going to jump out. And at that point, we're going to say, oh, I want to go back now and look at the big bud from this one.
Right.
So that's why you want to have in the jar a nice, good-sized bud, so that we can go back and say, show me number 175. Yeah. And you can pull out that jar and go, oh, that's what it looks like, the full-size bud.
But see, this is how you want to mix. We have 4 meetings of the judges panel. And this year there are what, 12 judges again?
12, yeah.
12 judges. So we meet 4 times in order to evaluate and to suggest to others, try this and try that and so on. So that's when we see the whole 3 ounces in the big jars, right? But at home, we're only seeing this tiny little bud. So present your little buds as best you can, and then put some big ones in the jar so we can really see the architectural shape of your bud when it's trimmed. Now, don't trim too tight.
Right. And keep your fingers off those buds as much as possible.
So when we look at it, I take out a little 60 times microscope, and I look at the trichomes. The golden, the cloudy, the clear trichomes. And we look at the hairs, and we see, is this like covered in crystal or is it not, right? And so the whole look thing, we also include the cure of it, right? So if it's too sticky or too wet, maybe you didn't let it cure quite long enough, right? Or is it too dry because you were trying to dry it too fast? All of those things come into effect in what we call the look.
And of course, the cure we also find out when we actually smoke it. because that's how you
Right.
see how it burns.
And also when I roll it,
Yeah,
because
when you roll it.
So
Yeah.
we judge on 4 qualities. The first we call is actually the look. The second is the fragrance, right? So the look, as we say, is the trim, the trichomes, the cure, and so on. The fragrance is, of course, what it is, and we try and associate with that something that's not cannabis, something from the spice drawer or whatever. So those 2 things, if you don't pass on the look and you don't pass up into the 9s on the fragrance, I'm sorry, you can't win. So make sure you have a good-looking, well-trimmed bud that's got a lot of fragrance. Then it goes on to the taste. Now the taste, but before we actually light it up, we always do a dry hit.
Yeah.
Just an unlit hit. And that gives you a lot of information also, and it kind of reaffirms the fragrance because it's the terpenes.
It's interesting. I find that the dry hit usually tastes more like the smell.
Yes.
And then the lit hit can surprisingly be very different. You know, you expect it to taste like one thing, but it can be different.
Yeah.
Or there can be no taste at all.
Yeah. So then also when we light it and we look at it, we get the taste of the actual cannabis burning. And we also will look at the ash. If the ash on the end is really, really black and black and black, then we might not even smoke anymore, because usually the ash on our joints that we grow here, pure organic with no pesticides or anything, is a very light ash.
What is this you rolled? That's really nice. As long as we're judging, I'd like
But
to
it's
say.
just, what do you think it is?
Cuvée?
Not Cuvée,
No?
no. This is a Swami Sativa.
Oh, that's Swami Sativa. This is last year. We're still smoking last year's, by the way.
Right, right.
This is
So-
well cured.
Yeah, well cured. So yeah, we're looking at that and the taste. And now, is it a smooth smoke? Is it cause us to cough or something like that?
Mhm.
Or does it go up the nose? How is the smoke, right? Because if it's a real cougher, sometimes it's, I'm just coughing because I smoked 4 in the last hour. And then maybe you'll smoke the next one and you don't cough.
Yeah.
So you begin to realize, well, no, that cough wasn't the good smoker's cough. It was actually a cough because it's harsh, it's not dry enough or whatever. So that we got looks, fragrance, and taste as the smoke, but all of those get a maximum of 10 points. And
Right.
we usually give them somewhere about 9.5, 9, whatever, if they're good, right?
Depends, yeah.
But every judge has their own way of making those numbers and adjustments, because we're smoking and we're paying attention. We're trying to grade this stuff, which is really difficult, right?
And we take a lot of notes and encourage
Yeah.
all the judges to do that, so that on the day of the event at the Emerald Cup, you can actually go and see the giant board up on the wall that will tell you
Right.
what our comments are, because you deserve that.
Right. Also, one other thing, remember, the number that we get is not going to be the number that you, as the entrant, will get. So sometimes it can be a little confusing that you see a number in the jar and, well, oh, that's not the one that's mine. So in order to make sure there's no leakage, so to speak, the number that we get is not the number the contestant gets.
So it truly is a blind judging,
Yeah.
and we have no idea
Right.
who's cannabis.
So then
we're
the final
smoking.
category are the effects, which I say plural, and that gets double points. So it's 10 for the first 3 and 20 for effects, so maximum 50 points, right? Well, we've never given anything 50 points, right?
Close.
But
49
48 and so on.
something.
But so at any rate, now the effects. And first of all, we kind of catalog any sort of physical effects, and so on. And then we go into psychological effects, or exuberance, party, and all that sort of stuff. But the point for you to realize as an entrant is make your bud look like you really cared for that bud, because you're competing with 400 other people who really cared for theirs, right? Pick your buds that have the best cure and the best fragrance and trim them up real nice, and do your own little mini contest at home with your buddies and say which one would you think is the best.
And as far as effects go, which obviously is so important, we're not necessarily looking for couch lock hit you in the head and,
Right.
tube-toed blackout here. We're looking for the sophisticated smoke that has all kinds of levels of things happening in it, and, that's interesting. It's not just going to get me stoned, in other words.
And the other thing is also, since we're joint smokers always, it's the joint smoking itself is kind of a journey. And sometimes that hit you get in the last half, 3/4 of an inch is a summation of all the other flavors that have been so far in the smoking, because it's a smoking experience, right?
Absolutely.
Edibles are different, all that sort of stuff, but we're into a smoking experience with the flowers as the top of the line thing.
And, it's not the highest THC that always wins. We always try to remind people of this.
It never wins.
So don't expect that, you know, just because it's 23% or something, you're going to win it. No, it's quite often more. I would say the winner's more in the 18-19% range. Usually, if we were to look back over the years,
because the terpenes are also so important
that's right.
in the quality
and
rating.
so many other things that we don't even know about that are important in
right.
there. And that's when you know
and
really
the
get
judges,
to be a connoisseur. You can tell.
The judges are connoisseurs, are sophisticated people who are looking for the fullness, not just the BAMO. And say, we're going to get like 20 or 30 different OGs and Kushes and other things, sativas and so on. So we're looking for the one that stands out as the best of its breed, so to speak. So
there's usually a lot of Kush.
A lot of, and so we talk about things that are fuely or you know, the smell is a fuely kind of smell, and others where it's more of a floral or fruity kind of smell. And so there's always those kind of things, and those that actually best exemplify that class, and also in terms of the look, that best exemplify the look of that particular strain or that kind of cannabis, right? But now, another thing is that Nikki and I don't particularly try and guess whatever strain the bud is. And now other judges and a lot of people I know, especially the buyers at clubs, they're very good at identifying, oh, that's, you know, Blue Dream, whatever it is. But actually, we don't want to prejudice our appraisal by trying to guess what it is, right? All I'm trying to do is just say, what does this fragrance remind me of? Anything in the world, whether it's, you know, dirty sneakers or new sneakers, it's the rag under the sink, or, you know, it's a cardamom,
roses,
or rosemary, lavender, all these different things, blueberry. That's what I'm trying to do, is to find a reference to a fragrance outside the world of cannabis.
We even had, like, thinking of something like chicken fat.
Oh yeah,
and just weird things.
You
but
know,
guava, that's the one that took.
Guava comes up a lot too, right? Yeah, and of course pine sol and all these different. But you know, and behold, all of these different fragrances that we're identifying are actually terpenes. There's, I don't know how many exact terpenes there are. Something like almost 30 or something. There's pinene, limonene, citrine, beta-carotene, or whatever, I can't even pronounce that one. Myrcene is one of the most common ones, which is what they say is also in mangoes. And it's one of the most relaxing ones. Yeah. So, in the end...
Well, I've heard that if you eat a mango, is it right before you smoke a joint, you get more high?
Yeah, yeah. So all these things are the way that the terpenes, the fragrance, is kind of sending you a message before you actually smoke it. It's a precognition that this fragrance is going to be something that's beneficial or relaxing and so on. So the terpenes already are giving you information about how the smoking of it later on is going to affect you. Right. And likewise with all food, you know, you choose your food very often on the basis of the fragrance, and the fragrance is the terpene. So
we have a great group of judges this year. So there's a lot of us that are returnees, and then we also have some new ones, a few new ones coming on board, people from the San Francisco Bay Area, from, you know, a little south of the Bay Area.
We have some from Sacramento this year.
We don't have anyone from Los Angeles. I wish I could say we did, but it's just kind of hard to get the samples there.
That's true, it is difficult. So but we do take samples from all over the state.
So we should put that out there for next year, to find someone from LA who's willing to just come up here and stay for a month.
Oh, right, you'd have to stay for a couple of 3 weeks. Because that's really what
you'd have to do to be up here.
Because it's really serious.
So we do have people from other parts of the state, though, and it's a great group. We have a lot of fun.
We really have a bonding with the judges over the years. It's great. We always look forward to it. But remember, it's actually hard work to do something that's unquantifiable, ineffable, magnificently spiritual and inspirational, and then to try and put a number on it and grade it and so on. So it is pretty easy to get the top 50 separated out, but then to put those top 50 into the real order, and the top 5.
Yeah. Well, the top 20, it's hard to do.
But see, the other thing is we found over the years that every judge is kind of nervous about his or her own selections, but in the end, we realized that the top 5, or the top 5 winners, are always in everybody's top 10. Yeah. Maybe not exactly in that order, but the judges ourselves are always astounded at the amount of agreement that we have, first of the top 50, and then, you know, how they arrange themselves into the top 20. So we always get reaffirmed in that, you know.
Oh, it's always exciting every year. Yeah, it's kind of nerve-wracking. It's like taking a meditation course, you know. At a certain point on day 4, you're just going crazy and you want to run out the door.
Yeah, but sometimes
and then by
things
day
happen
6,
like,
you don't want it to ever end.
Yeah.
That's what it's like.
But see, we sit here and do everything more or less in the same place, but there'll be a time like 11:30. You know, we're on sample like 18 or 20 or something like that for the day. And it's 11:30 and we say, oh, we got to do it. So we roll it up. Oh, wow, it's got a pretty nice fragrant, looks good, so on. And then we smoke it. All of a sudden, but boom, we're like awake for the next half hour because some sativa just went and cut through. And you say, wow, okay, that one really cut through. It's got to have something that's really special, right?
Well, we welcome you to put in your samples. I think you're going to have some great ones out there. We look forward to seeing what the 2016
it's a great privilege for us to be able to sample and see all the different varieties and strains and different ways that people grow. And we realize everyone's really proud of what they've done. Yeah. So we give it the best consideration that we can. Right. And the privilege of being able to see it all is just a great honor. So thank you for entering. Thanks. And see you in December on the 10th, 11th at the Cup.
Yeah, awards are given at 4:20 more or less
on Sunday
afternoon.
But listen, there are all kind of workshops and informational lectures and so on that are going to be happening. And of course the famous 215 area is something not to be missed.
See you there. You can't miss him. So.
Right. Well, thank you for coming and joining us. All right.
Okay. Well, we really look forward to seeing you at the
We got pretty stoned on this.
This was a great. Whatever this was, I really liked it.
We haven't even finished it.
And see, this is the nice thing. When you're not a judge, you don't have to care what it is. You don't have to take notes. So we're just kind of enjoying. But you asked me what it was. All right, so anyway, thanks for joining us, and good luck with your entries. And we'll see you at the Cup, December 10th and 11th at the Santa Rosa Fairgrounds. And see you later.